Kelly.
Oh, hi, Georgiana. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm really well this morning. How are you?
Good, good. Awesome. Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is Better Now, Living Mindfully. And this is a conversation between two friends that explores a mindful approach to life. So let's get started, Georgiana. Last time we talked about fear and how fear has no power over me. And then you said something really important that kind of stuck with me this week, which was like, reacting versus responding. And I was wondering about that. So, it kind of took me to the place of I don't know if I ever told you this, but, being from New Orleans, we got hurricanes down there. And whenever we'd prepare for the hurricane, we'd board up all the windows, tape everything up, and just sit in the quiet. And
Right.
there was this moment that was like the eye of the hurricane where everything became silent and you couldn't hear those trees blowing or the trash going everywhere. It was just pure silence. And we just waited. And that
Right.
kind of reminded me of the pause that you were talking about.
Yeah. I have to apologize a little bit for my voice. I just had a cup of tea, which kind of made my voice a little bit scraggier than it usually is. But yeah, I'm from New England, so we had hurricanes there. And that eye of the hurricane is a very interesting concept that you're talking about to bring into this, because it talks directly to something that we said in the last podcast, which was walking in ambiguity. And I got a message from somebody who was listening in the last podcast that really was something that she took with from that podcast, Walking in Ambiguity. And that's what that eye of the hurricane is, because we had a lot of fear when we were sitting and looking around and thinking what was going to happen. And I remember some of those bad hurricanes back there. It was a fearful time. That walk in ambiguity, and how do you pause and just be in that fear and see where it is located in your body.
Yeah, I think that really kind of touches something in me. Like if I go back to a conversation that I've had or something like that, where it kind of escalated really fast, like I could feel like my heart beating faster, and I could feel like the adrenaline coming in and the wanting to respond and how do I respond? But there's just like no time. There's no
Right.
time. And you kind of it's no time to really think about it. You just kind of react.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really curious about how is it that you kind of pause? It's easier for me to pause during an eye hurricane because it's quiet and it's like the quiet is forced upon me, right? The
Right.
quiet is just like superimposed me, and I'm just like it's like kind of walking into church and it's quiet, But it's like when you're outside in the storm, in the reactivity, in the argument, or and like your kids driving you crazy and, you've asked them to clean the room for the 20th time and they still haven't done it. You're just tell me a little bit more about what it means to kind of go into your body. And then what do you do after that?
Well, even as you were talking about the eye of the hurricane, I don't know if other people in the audience have ever been in a place where they're waiting for something to happen because there's a big silence like that. But my body started to react to that. And our bodies react to emotion. Emotion is so energizing for us humans that we get tuned into just reacting right away rather than get tuned into where is this in my body. When you were talking about the hurricane, I started feeling it in my eyes. I thought, oh my God, I remember those times. One really bad hurricane that took down half of our little town.
Wow.
We were scared. We're really scared. And I remember my eyes and remember my mother. And that's still with me. That memory is still with me. And in some way, I paused into the very moment of the fear that I was having along with my mother and my brother and my father. That's where that pause needs to begin, is that pause of just, wow, something's happening in my body.
Oh, I feel you, girl. I feel like it's like an awareness. It's like a heightened awareness. Like when you're talking, I feel like you're like heightened awareness of where am I feeling it in my body. I feel it in my eyes. I feel it in my belly. And then what do I do with that information? Like,
Exactly.
okay, so now what do I do with that information? Now I have a heightened sense of awareness, right? And awareness of what? Like, well, an awareness of body sensations, but it could be an awareness of a thought or an awareness of like a sensation, a thought, a feeling, you know, and then what? So then what? Now what do I do with this information that I have and I'm feeling it? What do you do with it?
Well, let's talk a little bit about the instinctual reaction that our body has based on thousands, millions of years of being in this human biology of chemicals. Fear is not a bad emotion, because fear, up until maybe 100 years ago, kept us away from things that were going to hurt us. And it was really important that we tuned in to having a fearful intuition or a fearful nanosecond, which is like a zillionth of a second, and looked around and paused. It was a normal reaction, and you still have that today. If you're walking down the street with your child and your child dots out into the street, your body is instinctually going to do something. So
Totally.
that fear is good.
Yeah.
You want to just go with it. It's when you're having, and also even in the hurricane, I mean, if there's a flapping sound and you didn't hanker down as much as you needed to, you need to go take care of it.
Right.
But in many situations, you're not going to be attacked by an animal or attacked by a person, or the hurricane is not going to be swirling into your room. And that's when you want to take that pause to see what, and be in the present moment. That's what are starting to learn. Take the pause and be in the present moment, acknowledging something's going on here. And be in it, because your feelings are telling you something. That body feeling of anger that you were having is telling you something. That feeling in your heart telling me something. The feeling in my eyes telling me something.
Yes, girl. And I feel like our gut is telling us something. Like, you know, when you talked about intuition, I just felt like my gut is telling me something. What is my gut telling me to do? And just being able to pause, wait long enough to kind of feel it, interpret it, and then maybe act. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we learn to pause into the restlessness of this energy, because that's what's really happening. The restless energy is inside, and in some cases starts a story in our minds.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And then just being able to be, you know, I'm also seeing, like when you said, and it starts a story, I had this feeling of moving back and getting better perspective. Like, you know, like I felt like I was just like, oh, I'm going to go off in flight. And now I'm going to get a little bit better perspective now to see what is the story that is starting. What kind of narrative is my mind going to go through right now? Right?
I love when you said move back, step away.
Yes. Step
like
away
that.
and breathe.
Step away and breathe. Just take a little inhale and exhale.
Yes.
Just breathe. And
Yes.
sometimes it means breathing and noticing the surroundings that you're in. Okay, I'm in a room, we're waiting for a hurricane. So, I mean, those are the extreme examples, but sometimes you're just step away. My child is doing this for the 10th time and I've told him not to.
Right.
I'm going to step away for a minute,
Yeah.
figuratively and literally.
Right.
Sometimes literally we step away from
Right.
anger, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's just figurative. It's just in a symbolic way. I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
breathe. I'm going to step away from this emotion and this story that's starting in my mind.
You know, it's so funny because now, when you said step away, I had this thing in my mind which was like, get out of your head. Get out
Yeah.
of your head,
Step away
right?
from your head.
Yes, get out of your head because, like, when I'm in that feeling of that instinctual, kind of like wild, raging feeling of the storm, I want to step away, get out of my head so that I can get better perspective on this. And this pause is really just seconds. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we're making it
Mhm.
sound like it's going to be like a little time, a couple of minutes. No, sometimes it's just like happens in seconds. That if
Yeah,
I can step away and get out of my head. Go ahead.
let's take a pause that is 2 seconds.
That was 2 seconds.
That was 2 seconds. That's all you
Mm-hmm.
need.
Mm.
We're not
Oh my
talking
God,
about.
girl. You got it.
hmm That's all you
Mm-hmm.
need is that 2 seconds. Teaching yourself. And this is a learning. That's why they call meditation and mindful living a practice.
Mm.
It's a learning. It's a learning curve. Those two
Right.
seconds are a learning curve. Because maybe you can
Right.
only take a half a second, but maybe
Right.
next time you'll take a whole second.
Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
you'll
Build.
stop at a whole second for a
Oh my
whole,
gosh.
a while.
Yes. So now you're like talking about the discipline and the sitting down in the seat in the morning when you're doing an observation of the thoughts and feelings that you're feeling in this moment of meditation. And the
hmm
discipline that it takes to go from half a second to a second to
hmm
a couple of seconds to a minute,
hmm
because like sometimes that could be pretty long for someone who's not used to it. Like
hmm
this is taking, like if you sit down for 10-minute meditation, oh my gosh, that could seem like an hour for some
hmm
people. 5 minutes can seem like an hour.
Right. And we've talked about the importance of sitting in meditation for 10 minutes is a really important practice, and we want to become accustomed to allowing our feelings to be, their emotions, thoughts to be, allowing them
Mm.
to be, but not following the story of it,
Mm-hmm.
and labeling them. Oh, I'm being distracted now. I'm not doing this right. Okay. The next thought might be, I'm being critical of myself.
Mm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
being judgmental of me. Maybe I
Mm-hmm.
could, okay. And then not following the story, because I was just about to follow the story of, like, why don't I be more compassionate? No, that's the story. Just labeling the thought is what we're doing then.
It's interesting when you said labeling the thought, it kind of brought me to this image of diving under the wave.
Mm,
Because like when I feel like I'm going to get furled by my emotions and I'm going to like just go with it, I feel like I'm on a stormy wave and it's just thrashing me all over the place. But when you
mm-hmm,
said take a pause and look at the story and not judge it, it felt like I'm going to dive under this wave and
mm-hmm.
I'm going to go into the stillness and I'm not going to get thrashed by it anymore.
I
You
love
know?
it. That's what it is. That's what's going
Mm-hmm.
on.
Yes, yes. Very cool.
Diving under the wave.
Mm-hmm. Diving under the wave and just feeling the stillness just for a little bit.
Two
Be-
seconds.
yes, don't. And if our mode of operandi, for example, is not like reacting, then we're going to withdraw.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to suppress, and we're going to suppress all this energy. And then it's going to manifest
Mm-hmm.
into tense shoulders, lack of sleep. I'm having
Mm-hmm.
nightmares again. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
avoid this person because they're driving me crazy and I don't know what to say when I see them. Or,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, what are the effects of not taking the pause?
Well, yeah, you got stuff going on in your body, and that's
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people. It is in the heart, it is
Mm.
in the stomach, it is in the neck, and those things start
Yeah.
exhibiting themselves big time if you haven't kind of quieted down 2 seconds to be in the moment, to be in the present moment. And this is why we do the sitting for a few minutes a day if we can, for those who
Mm-hmm.
can, and it's not everybody in the audience that will. But we don't do it just to sit there. We do it to see what our restless energy is and to let it
Mm.
be. And
Mm-hmm.
also so that we can actually use it by having a mindfully driven life. When we were naming our podcast, Living Mindfully, that's really what
Mm.
we're doing is
Yes.
moving towards better health physically,
Yes.
moving towards better health emotionally, and moving
Right.
towards better health spiritually, which we will talk about at some
Yes.
point.
Yes.
Let's just go through. Let's take another 2-second pause, and then I want to go through and see and touch what we've done, because
Mm-hmm.
we've touched a lot of different things in this last 15, 16 minutes, just to recap some of those things, because then
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to come up with what might be our podcast for next time.
Yeah, sounds great. Let's do it.
Yeah, we talked about fear and that eye of the hurricane, which was just a remarkable symbolism, because that silence, and we talked about where is it located in the body, and
Mm.
um, what could you do? Is it our gut that's telling ourselves something? And yeah, it is. And that restless energy that starts then a story, and we want to move back, step away, just 2 seconds. Can't do 2 seconds. 1 second to get out of your head, labeling that thought. Crazy with this kid and I need to do something. Well, literally and figuratively, the do something is the pause for 2 seconds. And then the last thing we talked about, which was really important, was to feel the stillness and dive under the wave. Not
Mm.
going with the wave, but diving under
Mm-hmm.
the wave so the wave doesn't take you. The wave is that point of energetic emotion that's about to take you into a reaction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, as these things come up, one of the things that we would like to invite our listeners to do, if you have a chance, if any of this really connects with you, or you would like for us to expand on a certain topic, you can just send us a voice message or send us a text if you know us, or post something on Facebook. We'd love to kind of like continue the dialogue with you and whatever it is that you need as we enter in conversation together. So, Georgiana, what are some of the things that arise as a future intention?
Well, I think that, well, this is what I'm saying, and I'll run it past you. Um, this point of labeling, I know for a lot of people, self-criticism and judgment is big. So maybe we could work next time around self-compassion, and how being,
Mm.
I always call it kind and gentle. That may be
Oh.
kind and gentle on ourselves. We're doing a
Mm-hmm.
lot. Uh,
Yeah, I feel you, and I like that because I feel like sometimes we're too hard on ourselves when we do react.
Right.
And to
Exactly.
understand, hey, we
Mm-hmm.
are human. We have been
Mm-hmm.
primed this way. This is
Mm-hmm.
part of our physiological response to things. And as we move towards our evolution of consciousness, we are learning new tools to help us be more mindful and
Mm-hmm.
loving of each other and of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you with that. I love that idea. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. And I'd like to invite the audience to maybe use something that we've said in today's podcast. I
Mm.
like the 2 seconds a lot.
Mhm.
Maybe during that 2 seconds that you take away the phrase diving under the wave. If that doesn't work for
Yes.
you, if water is not your thing, then move back, step away,
Yes.
step away,
Get out of your head.
get out of your
Step
head,
away
step
and check
away.
out
two
your
seconds.
story.
Check it
Uh-huh.
out.
I love it. And one more thing I think is also like in that pause, can you feel it in your body?
I'm
Can you
so,
recognize it in your body? Where
yeah,
is it at?
yeah,
And then also later on, what we could do is we could talk about how do we breathe into it? How do we
yes,
exhale and open up,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Right? All right, everybody, thank you so much for being with us today. We love our conversations, and I'll let Georgiana say our goodbyes.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone who's listening, we're so glad that you joined us, and I hope that you will join us again. I feel better
Yes.
now, Ellie, and I hope that our audience feels better now
Yes.
too.
Yes. Thank you so much, Georgiana. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.